Hi, I'm Laura. Welcome to Real Success Radio. Our goal here on Real Success is to always inform you, inspire you, and motivate you to discover your own personal and professional success. Well, today, it's a little bit different. We're going to get real in studio, more real than we've ever got before. I'm going to bring you a guest today, Larry Herbert. A black man finds himself at a crossroad. Basketball scholarship to college, Vietnam as a Marine. Larry chose being a Marine. He chose to fight for our freedom. And today he's going to share his story with you like you've never heard a story about someone in Vietnam before. During this period in time, the whole time he's in Vietnam, 18 years old, scared to death, Larry's trying to discover why. Why me, God? Why am I here? What can I do? How can I be more for you? And how in the world can I get out of here alive? And there was that guilt that Larry had lived with, trying to become human again. What was that guilt? His name was Dave Parker, a white man who took his place on a suicide mission. Larry was being sent to go kill a sniper, be a distraction, so the rest of the guys can live. Dave Parker said, "No, Larry, let me go in your place." And Dave Parker did. 15 minutes up that hill to be a distraction so the other guys could get out. He was killed. Larry watched the man who took his place, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed young man, give his life for a black man. And that's what you're going to hear today. The journey, the life, the healing, and the moving forward from Larry Herbert. Thanks for tuning in.
It's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. Drive home with your host, Laura Parrish, live from Real Success Radio.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's not just talk. It's real people, real stories, and real success. Thanks for driving home with me this afternoon. I'm Laura, and our goal here on Real Success, well, that's always to inform you, inspire you, and motivate you to discover your own personal and professional success. Each week, we're presented by Community Southern Bank. We are going to jump right into today's show. Our topic, living in memory every day. This is a special Memorial Day tribute for those of you who are gearing up for great big plans in the upcoming weekend. Yes, Monday is Memorial Day. And today I have a very special guest who wants to talk to you, share with you, and take you back a little bit through his journey and what Memorial Day means to him. I'd like to introduce you to a very special guest today. His name is Larry Herbert. Larry is a retired Marine, Lance Corporal, and I'm really going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to 1969. Larry was in Vietnam. The story that we are about to share with you is impactful. It's life-changing. And today our goal is, when we're done with this show, that you ask yourself, what choices do I have? Is there a difference that I can make? Have I discovered my purpose, my mission in life? That's what our goal is today, is to help you find those answers as you go back with Larry and you discover his journey to Vietnam, his survival, and his struggle to get out. But it goes much further than that. The struggle that continued when he got back to America, the things that he lived with, that most of you just saw Larry and waved and walked on by, and inside you had no idea what he was dealing with. In fact, he didn't either. Larry Herbert, welcome to Real Success Radio. I'm pleased to have you as a guest today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So you have a story, Larry, and you and I have gone through this story a little bit before today, and I know that today may be tough, but our listeners are geared toward keeping it real. We know that life is tough. We all get into a position in our life where we have to make tough decisions and we walk through struggles, and sometimes it's hard to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But your story is a bit different than what most of us have experienced, and I'd like for you to share that story of 18-year-old Larry that was faced with getting ready to go to a place that most people just didn't want to be.
It'd be an honor to share that. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show and tell my story. It's a blessing to be able to be here to share. It started in 1969, 18 years of age, and I was high school football star and basketball star. I decided to go to college, had a scholarship to go to basketball in Polk Community College. The second year they were open, I had a scholarship to go. And the guys I grew up with, I played football with, most of them was going to Vietnam. And being raised by my father, who was a military man, who I respected highly, he drilled in us to do the right thing. So he believed in this country, as I do. And so he instilled within us, he didn't tell us to go to the military, we just knew that's where we wanted to go. And my cousin, Jerry Green, which most people in Polk County may know if you're from the Auburndale area, know of him. He was a great guy and a great athlete. As I made a decision that second year from Polk Community College to go to the Marine Corps, I didn't have to go. I had a deferment, which allowed me to go back into school. I chose to let that go, and I chose to go into the Marine Corps. I believe in this country, and I decided that I wanted to go and fight for my country, and that's what I did. I went into the military, the Marine Corps, and it was tough. And as I went in, I joined. Many guys at that point in time being enlisted. I joined because I believed in what this country stood for. So I made a choice to go. And after that, I went to graduation and all the stuff that went on. I got graduated from getting ready to graduate from boot camp. And my cousin was already in Vietnam. And just I got a letter from home saying that he was missing in action. Now, at this time, I just received orders that I was going to Vietnam. I just got orders I was going to Vietnam. And so I'm 18, I'm scared. I'm scared because I heard all the stories of the guys coming back. And so I said, wow. And so about a week into graduation, I get another letter saying that they had found his body, he was dead. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die at 18 years old, that's all you know. You're going to go to war and you're going to die. So I wasn't really ready for that, but something strange happened when my heart was really being pricked by my cousin's death, because I couldn't come home because I was still in training. I couldn't come home to his funeral. And somehow the Lord made it possible for me to ensure me that I was going to be okay. I didn't understand it at first, but every night I closed my eyes, I would see this cross just hanging there. I said, what is this? I didn't understand all that. And I just believe from the cross that God let me see that he was watching over me. I had no idea what was coming, none. And so I came home, and as I came home, I said my goodbyes. I remember getting on the airplane, going to California as I got ready to go for training in California to leave to go out. And, my mother was a very stern woman, very hard lady. She was not a kind of person very emotional, but I'd never seen her get emotional. So she was angry. But to see the soft side of my mother as a lady who was old and raised a hard way and got on that airplane to go, I happened to turn around and look. And when I turned back and looked at my mother, I saw tears in her eyes. And when I saw those, I'd never seen that. My mother never cried, not for me. And I saw those tears, my life just changed at that point. I said, wow, my mother loves me. We take it for granted, but I saw then that she really cared. So my cousin was dead, I'm going my way, I'm scared, a guy. I stayed in California for maybe about a month. The guys who came before me, they went straight to Vietnam, and most of them were killed when they left. They went because they went a day early. So going a day early meant that they would have to go through that whole process of going to Vietnam and going right over. So because I waited one day, I stayed 30 days in 29 Palms for 50 caliber training. And when I did that, that gave me some time to enjoy California before I went to Vietnam. So we went to the USO club, and this guy was outside the club. This one guy, he was a preacher, and he was praying for everybody. And you know, at this point, I'd gone to church most of my life, but I didn't know anything about Jesus Christ. So he said, he called three of us over. He said, guys, come here. Let me pray for you. He shared the Lord with us. He prayed for us. And he prayed, I prayed, and I remember the prayer, I said, I pray that the Lord would bring all you guys back. I said, wow. So everybody's saying I'm not coming back. So this is a good prayer, okay? And so I paid no attention to that. So we went again to Okinawa. We went to Okinawa, and I was there for about a month with the great build-up of the great Tet Offensive, which was on the way. I had no idea what I was in for. So on the way to the offensive, and got to Vietnam, and the guys who went in with before I did, that plane got blown up as soon as it landed in country. The plane they blew it up. They was bombing the field, and the plane just blew it, killed everybody on board. So here I am. We flew around the landing zone for me in Da Nang for about a couple of hours, or however long. It seemed like for hours. May have not been, but it seemed that long because we didn't know what had happened. And when we got down, we found out what had happened, that those guys had gotten blown up in the plane. So here we go. I'm starting, not looking pretty. So as I began to go to Vietnam, and I was got down, touched down, I'm scared. I'm scared to death. Scared to death.
And that's where we're going to go ahead and pause. Larry has a story for you. It has an ending that you don't want to miss a second of it. When we come back, we're going to talk about a sniper, a life that was given, and a life that was spared. Thanks for being El Tire, taking us out. When we come back, Larry Herbert's days and nights in Vietnam. We're keeping it real here on Real Success. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for more. Welcome back to the second quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura. Thanks for driving home with me today. Our special edition tribute to Memorial Day. We're presented each week by Community Southern Bank, sponsoring our second quarter, taking us in. That's Headley Insurance. My guest today is Larry Herbert. He is a former Marine, Lance Corporal, who served his time in Vietnam. We are taking you back to 1969 today. You know, a time that a lot of us, we forget about. At this point, it's something that we read in a history book, or we might bump into someone that we see on the street and we just shake our head going, what's wrong with that person? What's wrong with that guy? That's a Vietnam vet. What we're doing today is we're talking to Larry, and we're really getting into his heart and soul, his mind, the memories that wouldn't allow him to sleep, that wouldn't allow him to function through a civilian world as most of us would call normal. Well, there is a great story to Larry's ending, and in our third quarter, you're going to hear what really has made the change in Larry's journey through life. In our first quarter, we already discovered Larry was 18 years old. He had a choice: go to play, on his basketball scholarship, free ride to college, or enlist in the Marine Corps and head straight to Vietnam, where he knew he had a very slim chance of ever returning back to the United States alive. So, Larry, thanks for getting through that first quarter. I know we're about to get into some pretty touchy and emotional information that you're about to share with us. First of all, thanks. Thank you for taking us back and not letting us forget. There's a time when all Americans, we get a little busy and we forget to say thank you. We forget what men like you have done. And it's tough to take us back to where you were. We appreciate your story.
No problem. No problem.
And it's about to get even tougher, because you're about to take us into the jungle of Vietnam. In our last quarter, you left off where you just got off that plane. What happened when you got off that plane, 18 years old, headed into the jungle of Vietnam?
Well, it's tough again, because you think when you go into a combat situation, they'd immediately put a gun in your hand, immediately put a gun and say, okay, let's go fight. Well, that don't happen. You don't get a gun when you get off the plane. You do little workarounds so to get used to the country, and the smell was awful. And I can't tell you what I did, because it's just not fitting for radio to tell you what I did when I got off the plane. But the thing is that I was scared, because I'm in a combat zone and I don't have a gun. So in my mind, I'm looking at they would blow the LZ with the landing zone where I just come in on. The Viet Congs was actually blowing it. You can see the bombs coming in. I am scared. I'm just scared. So, and the older guys, they're like, everything is normal to them. Man, look, man, the bombs. I said, hey, man, don't worry about it. We cool. Okay. But as I finally got to my unit, and once I got settled in for about 2 weeks of doing little small stuff, getting used to the country, and finding out where my unit was going to be at, they was already in a position where they'd just come to a major battle. And I was a replacement for some guys who had come in. Who was going home. So when they dropped us off on this hill, the guys who were getting on the plane was switching clothes with the guys who was coming in, or who was going. We were coming in, so they was changing clothes, because these guys were had been in the bush for so long that they did not have all the shoes. The hole had shoes in them, the clothes, the fatigues was torn. So they were switching clothes so that the new guys, old guys that were there, could have new clothes for whatever was going, for the time they would be there, because we didn't know who was going back. So it was just a tough time. And here I am on this hill trying to think in my mind, what in the world have I stepped into? And right then, around from the ship, one of the ships out on the coast was shooting a bomb. I was on the hill across the hill, and I heard this crackling in the sky. I said, "What in the world is that noise?" And the guy said, "Man, that was those bombs, some 8 inches coming from the ship, and they're flying right over our head." He said, "Get in the hole, because if they have a short round, we're gone." I said, "Oh Lord, here we go again." So again, I'm scared. I'm scared because if that bomb dropped too soon, that would have been all of it. The hill would have been just flattened because these were big bombs. So we made it through that. So we started our operation. So I'm going to fast forward the story up a little bit further up so we can get to the part where right before the mission, my mission to go out, they had a couple of big operations going on at that particular time, and I forgot the name of them. But just kind of bear with me on the memory of those names. It wasn't Pork Chop, it was Hamburger Hill and another big hill that they was fighting, and we had gotten the word that they were having a lot of casualties. So with those casualties, we was on the L's landing zone waiting to be taken out into another, because I came back and I went back into the bush, and we've been finna go again, going to go into the country and the jungle again, and I'm scared again because we see all the bodies coming back, okay? The stuff you won't see on television. Okay, we saw the bodies coming back, and I was scared, and I was going where these bodies was coming from. So at 19 years old, 18 years, I'm scared. So we finally get in a helicopter. We get on the helicopter, drop us off, and we dropped us right in the middle of in the middle of the jungle. So we had to cut our way through the jungle to get where we was going, and so it was a machete and a gun, machete, gun, machete. So we just chopped our way through the jungle. And as soon as we got close, we had finally cleared the landing zone, so they made us take off all our packs. We had our gear. I took all our stuff off, all our gear we used to carry with us, our life gear, took it off and put it in a big pile. And everybody's wondering, why are we taking this stuff off? We just got here, we're gonna need this. Guys, all you need is your gun and ammo and water. That was it. I said, this doesn't sound, he said, this is what I would like for you. The sergeant came and said, look, I want everybody to write their last letter because many of you guys are not coming back. I said, uh-oh. And again, here I am again, faced with some very difficult choices. I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't know where to go. So I wrote my last letter, and that letter never made it home, by the way. It never got home. And so what happened, as the pile was getting bigger and bigger, we was trying to write in the dark because it was late in the evening, so we was trying to write. And the next morning we woke up, I saw all those packs piled up, and I said, oh my goodness, this is going to be bad. And the old guys said, Larry, it's going to be tough. We're going into it, man. And I can't tell you what they said, but it's going to get bad. So know that it's going to be rough. So with that in mind, we proceeded on. So the next morning we took off to the jungle, and by this time, the guy who was, one of the guys who was a machine gunner had gotten killed. And they needed another machine gunner. So since my MOS was a machine gunner, I took his place. What I didn't know is that, I did know, but I forgot about it, the machine gunner is the first person the enemy tried to knock out. Okay, because he can keep the head down while the other guys move. So as a machine gunner, they rotate kind of quick. Okay, I found out the next couple of days why. And so as we get to the base of the hill, we got to this clearing, and I want to notice that we stopped. I said, why we stop? And I saw the hill, looking up, I saw the hill, and I sat down with the machine gun in my lap, and I felt I heard these things go by my ear. And I said, what in the world is that? And I happened to look up, and I saw everybody hitting the dirt. They was running for cover. I said, well, what's wrong with them? Why are they running for cover? I don't see nobody. Well, the guy on the hill, the sniper, was shooting at me because I had the machine gun, and he was trying to hit me, and the bullets was going by my ear. And so I didn't know that, so I immediately threw the machine gun down and jumped behind the log, a dead log, and I was shaking. I was scared. And eventually they called in the helicopters. The hills, they come and they kind of flattened the hill, so we thought it was over with. And so as we proceeded on that day, you know, I made it. I was supposed to die then, but the bullets never hit me, right by my ear, both sides. And I never heard it. I never got hit. So again, I made it. That's my first way I've made got through that wave. So the next day we woke up and the guy said, and now strategically putting a plan together to attack this hill. I'm wondering why we can't go up the hill. Well, we couldn't move because the guy was still up there. So so he said, Larry, we gotta make this move up the hill. And I said, okay. He said, but Larry, you got to go. I said, whoa, wait a minute. If I go, he'll see me before I see him. So I can't shoot him. He'll see me first. He said, well, no, it's a suicide mission and you're not coming back. I said, well, wow, okay.
Okay, let me make sure I'm grasping the entirety of this story. You are at the bottom of a hill and there's a sniper at the top of the hill that is an enemy sniper. He's taking out the guys that are in your squad. They are turning to you saying, Larry, you need to head up that hill to be a distraction. That sniper is going to come after you. Is that? And then they tell you that this is a suicide mission, so you know that the second you step out from where you are to let that sniper see you, that's the end of your life.
You look surprised, but that's what I was trained for. I didn't like it, but that was my job. I didn't want to do it, but that was my job. So that's what we train for. We train to protect each other, take care of each other, black or white. That's what we do. As Marine Corps, that's how we were trained. So I knew what was coming. I understood all that. I didn't like it, but those were my orders. And I had to obey my orders or I got shot right on the spot. Oh, disobeying a direct order. You don't do that in combat. You do that now because people don't know better. But when I was coming up in combat, you did not disobey a direct order. They could kill you on the spot and would nothing be said. So I had no choice. Either, and it wasn't a choice, so to speak. It's just that I was just scared because I was going to do it in spite of. I was going to go.
So you had already dropped your backpack and written your letter. Larry, what was in that letter to your family? Because you know the second you step out there in front of that sniper, that letter's heading home.
Well, I don't remember the letter, what I wrote. All I know was a scary letter. I was letting everybody know I was afraid and this would be the last time they would hear from me. That is what I know that I wrote. But remember, the letter never got home.
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't get home. Mom would have had a fit.
No kidding. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pause right here because when we head into our next quarter, now you're going to meet the man who saved Larry's life. Actually, Larry should not be with us in studio right now telling this story. Remember, Larry was heading up that hill. His life was about to end. We're going to introduce you to the man who took his place. When we come back, there is no greater love than a life laid down for his friend. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the third quarter of Real Success. I'm Laura. Thanks for spending the afternoon with us today. A special Memorial Day tribute. We're presented each week by Community Southern Bank, taking us into the third quarter, Anytime Fitness South Lakeland. We are spending our afternoon with former Marine Larry Herbert, who is taking us back to 1969, his journey through Vietnam, his return home, and the struggle that he has lived with since he's been home. And you know, we see our Vietnam veterans walking in the street. We work with them. Some of them are our spouses, our best friends. And there's an internal struggle that they deal with. And today, Larry is sharing with us his journey. I know that you have questions. We're already getting some feedback for today's show. We do not take call-ins. But Daniel, if you will very quickly go ahead and share with our listeners how they can address and reach us here at Real Success.
Hey, Real Success listeners. If you'd like to ask Lance Corporal Herbert any of your questions, to hear your comments, or if you just want to share your thanks for his service, you can do that by getting on Twitter and using #RealSuccess.
You can also send us a quick email, talk@realsuccessradio.com. That comes to us directly in studio. That is a fantastic way for you to connect with us and to connect with Larry. Larry, we left off in our last quarter. You were at the bottom of that hill. You were just ordered to engage in your suicide mission. And just pick up from there, will you? Okay,
well, when the captain told me, and my platoon leader told me that I was going to do this, I had to go. And right now I'm scared. And so I told him, I said, well, look, I know I got to go. Let me go and make my peace with God before I go up this hill. He said, I'll give you some time. Go private and go take care. So I went and got all the ammo, all I could. If I'm going to go, I was going to go out in a blaze of glory. So I went back at the hill, and I looked across the top of this hill, and as I looked out, I just began to cry. And my whole thing, I was talking to the Lord. I said, Lord, look, this is the last day that I'm going to spend on the earth. There is no way that I'm going to survive this. There's no way. I want you to know that if you could, I sure would like for you to kind of make this thing go away. But if not, I just want you to know I apologize for my life, because I've not done anything for you. I've got a son I've not seen. I wasn't a good kid to my mother and father. Brothers and sisters, they would never see me again. I just want to let you know that I'm going to do this, and I know it's the end, and I just sure like for you to help me out. But if not, I'm just going to do it and just let that just be the end of it. And I'm crying now. I'm not just talking, I'm crying like a baby, okay? And Dave Parker, the night before, we kind of laid down and slept together, because in the mountains it's very cold at night. So to stay warm, we have to back against each other, the body heat to keep us warm, because we didn't have to bring all our gear with us, so we were cold. So, and I knew him from the night he was on that hill. We kind of slept together, and connections keep each other warm. So when I turned around and on my way head to back, I looked in his eyes, and he was crying. The guy was blue-eyed soul brother, we call him. And here he is talking to a black man, you know. He said, Larry, look, why don't you, he said, Private, look, go in. At the time I was a private, I didn't get the Lance Corporal till I got back. He said, Private, go back to your machine gun position, and I'll go in your place. I said, oh, wait a minute, man, you can't do this. I'm trying to talk him out of taking my place, because that was my job, okay? I said, no, it's my job to do this, because he had more rank than me, so it was my job to do it. He said, no, I won't take all that junk you're taking with you, but I'll be okay. You just go back to your place and get by the hill and get your machine gun position. I said, Dave, I said, this is a suicide mission. You're not coming back. He said, oh, I'll be back, because I've been in country a long year. He had been in country almost 7 or 8 months, I think 9 months, something like that. He was getting ready to come home. And he had only been in country 4. So now the numbers don't look good. 4 months, 9 months. Most people at 9 months try to stay away from trouble so they can come back. 4 months, that's why I was chosen, because I've been in the country very long, and give the older guys a chance to get home. That was okay. That's how we did things in combat, okay? So don't think hard of the Marine Corps for that. That was just how it was done,
right?
Okay? So he said, go get to his position. I went to my position. I got down by my machine gun, and he had an M79 grenade launcher, and if any of the guests out there know what that is, they know what it is. So he was going up the hill with a 45 and an M79 grenade. He shot it a couple times, and then the hill was hill 400. If you may remember, the Vietnam veterans who may have been part of that hill 400. We was going up the hill 400, and he was shooting his grenade launcher, and I saw him as he cleared the cleft of the hill. I heard the AK-47 go off, and after I heard the AK-47 go off, I heard him holler and scream and holler. He got hit, and at that point I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree. I'm just shaking, because that was me. Second time I escaped death again, and the guy, but sergeant actually shot the sniper. When they shot him, Dave, my platoon leader, shot the sniper, and that's what I was supposed to be. Worked perfectly. Just switch places, okay? And so they brought his body down, and when they brought the body down, I saw him had wrapped up in a poncho, and I had to look, because he went in front of me going up the hill, and when they brought him down the hill, they brought him right back in front of me again. And I said, oh my God. And I just paused, and they took the machine gun away from me, because I was losing at that time, so they took me away from the machine gun to calm down. So, okay, we made it. That day we made it. So that night, we got to the top of the hill, and as you get to the top of the hill, I saw the guy who shot him, the guy that had killed him, killed Dave. I saw the guy. He was a regular NVA Army guy. He was dead, and so I'm just losing at this point. So I just kind of got away from everybody. So that night we spent a night on that hill, and that night where we were, at the bottom of the hill, I heard the NVA talking beneath us that night. I thought it was kind of odd that they're talking where we had just come from. And you know, you can't talk at night because, you know, you give this position away, so I had to keep quiet. But I thought it was kind of odd. Well, what I found out the next day, we were being set up, okay? Because we woke up the next morning, that's when the mortars started coming in on our position. There was 2 machine guns. I had 1 machine gun, another guy had another machine gun. Well, my machine gun blew up, so they told me to get back into hole and help him with his machine gun. So, and we kind of started shooting. It was morning, and the mortars wasn't coming up the hill, but we saw them coming. And so I got tired. I said, man, I'm tired. So I've been up all night, so I got outside the hole and fell out and went to sleep for about 15 to 20 minutes. They said, Herb, wake up. I said, well, wake up. He said, we're being attacked, wake up. So I had no shirt on. I had no shirt on, so he said, put your flight jacket on. So I put my flight jacket on with the radio right over my heart, which my wife had sent me, a radio right over the pocket. So I put the radio over my pocket, and just as I got ready to step in the hole, when I closed the flight jacket up, just as I got ready to step in, the mortar landed in the foxhole. And foxhole in Vietnam, the dirt is so hard, it's just about that deep, so it really wasn't a foxhole. But it was enough to cover your bottom, and that was it. So the mortar landed in the hole, blew me about 15 feet in the air, about 3 of us in the hole, and my arm went across my face, and I felt no pain. I'm wide awake in this big cloud of black smoke up in the air. And so when I landed, it's like somebody took me and sat me on the side of the hole, the foxhole where I was sitting at, where I was just at, sat me down, and all of a sudden, as when I sat down, I felt no pain, by the way, no pain at all. Shock, sitting, I felt nothing. My arm was dangling like this, and what happened, my arm, blood was gushing about from here. You can't see this, always about 20 feet in front of the main artery. So it was shooting out. And we were taught in combat that when that happened, that you're supposed to apply direct pressure. So in my attempt to apply direct pressure, my hand went straight through my arm. Oh. So I had to squeeze it together, and I grabbed my arm, and first thing you do in combat, you're taught to call for the corpsman to come up to treat you. I said, corpsman up. He said, hey, I'm not coming over there, man. If you want to get treated, you got to come here. I said, no problem, brother. I'm coming. So I got up and ran to the other side of the hill and got treated. And the guy said, Larry, Marine, you're going home. I said, yeah, I know, but you see that helicopter coming in. If they shoot that helicopter down, I'm going to die again because I got to get here quick because I've lost so much blood. And so they was trying to keep me awake because I wanted to pass out. They kept talking to me and talking, so I wouldn't give me no water, so they kept me going. So I got back to the rear, got on the helicopter, threw the bodies on the helicopter. We got back into the rear, and I'm sitting down, and I tell you what, I was glad when that helicopter landed back in the rear. I was so happy.
Now, Larry, that was a little bit of a tough story, and in fact, it's a story that little bits and pieces of it you have just remembered. We're talking about Dave Parker, the white man who stood up and took the place of you, the black man. He gave his life for your life, and this was, would you say, just 2 years thereafter segregation, which you're looking at Dave Parker and you're wondering, why are you doing this for me?
Yeah.
There is a story that goes on that you're going to talk about when we come back in our final corner. We're going to talk about your healing process, and we're going to talk about Dave Parker and the name that you just remembered a few short years ago, and you were able to connect with Dave Parker's family. When we come back for more Real Success, the healing process, and Larry discovering his purpose, he'll help you find yours as well. We'll be right back with more Real Success. Welcome back to the final quarter of Real Success Radio. I'm Laura. Thanks for driving home with me today. We have a special Memorial Day tribute for you today. We are spending our afternoon with former Marine Lance Corporal Larry Herbert, who is taking us back to 1969, his journey through Vietnam, some of the things that he endured while there. But you would think, hey, Larry's home. Life is good. The struggle really happened when Larry got home. And you know, Larry's not the only one. Every one of us are touched by a Vietnam veteran in our life. And you know what? We have men and women who are in Afghanistan today that are going to come home. And what they leave in the land that doesn't belong to them, but they're there for America, they come home different than they left. Larry is going to close up our final quarter with Real Success on how he healed and move forward. Larry, again, thank you for sharing your story. When we left off in the last quarter, we were talking about a time of segregation. Was very difficult. And of course, today in 2014, it's really hard for any of us to remember that. you know, after a certain generation. But Larry, you remember how tough it was being a black man during that time, and the white people, and the restrictions and the keeping you at a distance. Yet you shared with us on break, you were fighting the same war. Go ahead and take us there, and let's talk about Dave Parker and how your healing process started, and what you think today about how we should be living our life.
Okay, thank you. Dave, like I said, I didn't know his name, and the Veterans Administration, VA clinic, got me in touch with his family. But Dave literally took my place, and I respect him highly. He was my hero. He should have gotten the Silver Star. I hope he did get that for what he did, because he knew what he was doing. He gave his life for me, a black man, and not only a black man, but for my whole unit. My whole unit, he did that, and he did it. He didn't complain. I was complaining. He never once complained. And it just blew me out the water that this guy knew his job so well that he believed that he could have survived that, and he didn't, but just the call of God, I guess. And so we live with that. But as we proceeded on the next day, coming back, they gave me my Purple Heart. I'm in the bed at the hospital, and the general came by and placed on my chest the Purple Heart for being wounded in combat. So I come home. So on the way home, I went to many hospitals, many operations, trying to repair my arm, because the damage was so bad, I actually lost the use of my hand. My whole arm was broken, but the radial nerve was severed, and it wasn't coming back. So I couldn't move my hand up and down, sideways. My wrist, I couldn't use my hand at all, so it was gone. So they had to do reconstructive surgery to repair it. And at that time, there was nothing they could do to repair it. I was just going to be hopeless without being able to use my hand. So I'm coming back from Japan on my way back to the States, and when I get to the States, in Indiana, we had to go to Indiana and Birmingham. I made 2 stops. When we came to the base, I was medevac, so I didn't come back sitting up. I was on my back. So when it came into the state, the bus entered into the bases it was coming into. They actually had protesters out front protesting the war. And so they couldn't bring us into the front door. They brought us into the back of the base. And I thought it was just odd. Why are we coming in the back? Well, they told us later that they was protesting, and been a big mess if we had come to the gate. And I said, oh, that is so wrong. Well, I didn't know how wrong that was until as I got to my life and I went to work for the Navy as a veteran and working my way. That I was treated differently because I was a veteran, Vietnam veteran. And they called me a baby killer. They called me this, and they called me all kind of names. Now, being black is one thing, but when you start being numbered with everybody else as being somebody who just go around killing babies and women and children, that's another story. That's another story. So we came back, but we survived that. God got us through that, and I thank God for that. But as I came back, I got married, and first marriage went to pot. Second marriage went to pot. And I thought it was my ex-wives, and as I didn't realize I was having some serious issues in my head. I had problems because of combat. I couldn't sleep. I was maybe getting 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night all the time. So it's a miracle I'm not dead from all that, but the Lord kept me alive, so he wanted to end this story. So as I began to get older and getting ready to retire with the post office 30-some years, as I was coming back and talking to people, I was a part of a prison ministry, sharing my story with a lot of guys in jail and on the streets. I was telling them about what had happened to my life, and they was blowing out the water that I could tell the story as calmly as I could, without just cracking up. And I said, well, God did that for me. That's how what happened. So now, as I come to life, and I'm a wife, now I got my 3rd wife. So I got 6 kids. And the principles I learned from my father, I learned to apply to my family, and I was saved. And because I was saved, God just blessed my family. I got 3 kids who have master's degrees. All my kids have college degrees. And my wife is doing very well, and we're having a great life, but my story doesn't end there. I called Dave Parker to talk to his sister, called his family, to talk to his sisters, because I couldn't rest until I talked to somebody in that family. So I made a phone call, called my platoon leader. He hooked me up with the family. He remembered me out of all these years. He remembered what this whole scene that happened. And when I told him what I was trying to do, he told me the guy's name in the family. So I called the sister, and I told her. She said, "Oh my goodness!" And there was a big pause on the phone. He had warned him I was going to call, of course. Didn't want to shock him. He warned him. And when he warned them, he told them I was going to be calling. So I called one sister, she just started crying. And the other sister, I called her and told her who I was. And she was telling me that she was glad that her brother, because they never knew what happened to their brother. Their brother just died in Vietnam, that was it. So I told the whole story, and they was glad to hear it. The other sister, who was a Christian, she said this, she said, Mr. Herbert, Pastor Larry, I really appreciate you. Now I know that my brother did not die for nothing. And his life was given so that you could share the gospel of Jesus Christ to everybody who come in your path. I said, you're right, because that's what my whole story. And not only the story of my life, but there are many people out there, Vietnam veterans, Afghanistan veterans, Iraq veterans, who won't come in to get help. I lived 40-some years with the guilt of this guy dying. No, I didn't know what was going on. Once I retired, it all hit the fan. It just came crashing on me. I told my wife, I said, sweetheart, something is going on in my head. I just don't know what to do. I had nothing to do, and it all came crashing down. And so when that happened, I went to the VA, and they told me I had PTSD. And when I got and sit down and talk to them, they made all the connection I needed to make sure that I could live my life somewhat comfortably with this thing. And the guilt is no longer there. When I talked to the family, the guilt left, because the whole thing was I had to let somebody know what had happened in the family. So there are many men out there who are really suffering the way I suffer. You don't have to do that. You need help. Be man enough to say I need help. And it takes a good man to do that. So just ask for help, and help is there for you.
Larry, thank you for opening up. I know this was a difficult story to share with us. It's important for all of us to remember, you know, it's more than a history book. It's real men and women that are walking today, serving our country to protect our freedom. And thank you for your service, and thank you for continuing to serve as a pastor right here in Auburndale, Florida as well. Still reaching out, still helping, still being a part of our community. If you have questions for Larry, you want to connect with Larry, there's some things that you would like to share maybe on your own. Larry is here for you. If this is a situation that you're battling, you can send us an email, talk@realsuccessradio.com. We'll make sure that we get your information to Larry, and he will open up and share with you. And if there's something that you need from one man or woman to another who's been there, Larry is there for you. We are going to wrap up. Community Southern Bank, Headley Insurance, Anytime Fitness, South Lakeland, Stewart Auto Repair, B&L Tire, Triple R Sales and Service, Pilka and Associates, and McEnany Roofing. You're the reason Real Success stays on the air 52 weeks out of the year. Thank you so much. Hey, until next week, keep it real. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this life.